One thing I am not doing this year is sleeping on myself. We're not doing no resolutions, no new year, new me. I'm doing structure, okay? Because the truth is, talent is cute. We know that. Motivation is cute. But structure is what changes your life. If you're over 40, like myself, or you just feel like you're done with the childish back and forth, this channel is for you. We're talking about discipline, stability, standards in life and in business. Not in a corny way. Like, we ain't doing that. We're going to keep it real on this side of the internet, like I always do. Now, the kind of stuff you can actually apply on like a random Tuesday or Wednesday when you're tired. Like, it's going to be very, very practical. So I'm making these videos, like I said, because I've learned something the hard way. You can have a big personality, big dreams, big talent, flashy money, expensive cars, and, you know, getting off private jets, all that good stuff, and still have a life that feels shaky if you don't have structure. Structure is universal. And I'm not interested in like shaky anymore, you know, especially at my age. I am interested in stability and being solid, being on solid ground. So here's what we're doing over here. We're going to be focusing on 3 different things on this channel in this series of videos that I'll be dropping out every day. Yes, every day. I'm holding myself to it. Again, structure is going to help me crank these videos out every day, and discipline, all of that. But the stuff that I'm talking to you about on this channel is stuff that I'm going to be living by daily. So like I said, there's 3 things. 1, discipline. Doing what you said you would do, especially when you don't feel like it. There's going to be days where I'm not going to feel like doing a video. Guess what? I'm going to show up. I'm going to be here. You can count on it. As far as what time, I don't know. It's going to be sometime in the afternoon. I'll probably drop these out. But that's one of the topics we're going to be covering, you know. There's days where I don't want to go work out, go to the gym. But guess what? I hired a trainer. And I'm disciplined. These arms on this chair is doing too much. The second thing we're going to be covering is stability. Stability is important, especially when you reach a certain age. Like, for me, I was looking for stability after 30. But now after 40, it's mandatory. Like, it is mandatory, okay? And, you know, we'll get into that in a later video where we can talk about what that looks like over 40. But stability, you know, building a life that doesn't collapse every single time something stressful happens, right? Like, yeah, it's so much. On that topic alone, there's so much I can talk about, and I'm trying to refrain from spilling it out in this first video. I gotta have topic. I gotta have content, you know, to crank these out and things to talk about. So I'm holding back, but stability is a big one. We're going to talk about that a lot here. And the third thing is standards, having standards, you know, having a line that you don't cross anymore, or a line that you don't allow people to cross anymore. You saying no faster with your chest, you know, and just having the expectations where you can actually stop apologizing for, right? That is super important, you know, as we age. So given those 3 pillars and topics I'll be covering in this on this channel, I want to give you guys like 3 practical things we can start working on and getting into today. Okay, today. The first one, looking at my notes here, the first one is to pick an anchor habit. Pick one anchor habit, and a habit that you can do every single day. something that's just a part of your routine. And you know what? Some of you may already be doing it, right? Some of you may already be doing it. It could be cooking one real meal for yourself. Pick one meal or something that you do every day. It could be 10 minutes of admin work on your business. It could be planning for tomorrow or a 20, 30-minute walk, something. Just pick something that you can commit to doing every day despite what happens, despite how life can get, despite how messy it can get, kids and all in your business and you dealing with kid stuff. Just pick one thing you can stick to, and this is for yourself, for yourself. The second thing that we can start doing is doing a stability audit, right? I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions so you can come up with like 3 categories where you can identify ways you can contribute to the stability in those 3 areas. So here's the 3 questions. The first question, what's making my life feel chaotic? Think of one thing that's making your life feeling chaotic right now, okay? It could be a job, it could be a person, it could be, or maybe not even the person, maybe how the day starts with the person, how the day ends with the person, how you interact with the person. Sometimes it's not the person, sometimes it could be something relative to the person, right? How you wake up in the morning and roll over and say good morning, right? Just think of something. It could be a pet, but think of something that makes your life feel chaotic. The second thing, what's draining my money? Think about how you're spending. Think about how you're spending your money. What are some things that's draining it? Like, money is important. We gotta have it. So think about what is draining your bank account. And then thirdly, what's draining your energy? And as we age, let me tell you, energy is important. It becomes even more important. So we have to think about what is draining that in our lives. It could be, and sometimes it may not even be external. It could be internal. It could be how you're eating and what you're consuming on a regular basis. That could be draining your energy. So, these 3 questions, it's like, don't necessarily look at it as an external thing. Because, like I mentioned earlier, making your life feel chaotic, it may not be an external person. It could be yourself. You could be making your life chaotic. Like I said, this channel, we're gonna be holding ourselves accountable. That's huge. So it could be you that's causing the chaos in your life. Some problems or anything. You have to nip that in the bud. It could be your spending habits. It could be you and what you eat and consume, medication, whatever, that could be draining your energy. So we have to think about those things and do that stability audit. And then the third thing that we can start implementing today and think about and get to it is, I want you to raise one standard immediately. Think of one thing that you can put in place right now and commit to it. Examples. I don't explain my boundaries twice. You say it one time and that's it. If they can't meet those boundaries or whatever, or hold those, commit to them or whatever, they gotta go. So don't explain your boundaries twice. That could be a standard that you can start holding immediately. I don't commit to things I can't follow through. There's a lot of people that commit to things and they just don't have the capacity to do it. So that could be a standard that you could put in place immediately. Don't commit to things that you can't follow through on. Another example, staying in conversations that are disrespectful. I've been in quite a few conversations that became disrespectful. And sometimes, well, let me not lie, majority of the time, I argue back. And I'm laughing because I'm just thinking of this one particular incident years ago. at a job. Like, there's two that stand out. If you know me personally and we've gotten not intimate, but in a vulnerable space, I may have mentioned it. But there's two incidents that I think about. And this was years ago. One in Chicago and one in Detroit. And the conversation got disrespectful. And yep, I dished it right. I gave it right back to him because I don't like disrespect. But at the same time, you get to a point in life and an age where you have to let stuff just roll off. Sometimes your absence is enough. You saying no is enough. Sometimes that's enough, right? Sometimes you have to just nip it in the bud, you know, and it's enough. And that's okay. That's a standard, right? That's a standard. You know, it's not, some things is not retaliation, right? It's a standard, right? So, you know, you do have to be careful with that, but definitely it's a standard you put in place, and staying in conversations that are disrespectful is definitely one that you can implement. And then lastly, I don't do business with people who play with my time and the payment. I've been there, and we're definitely going to talk about that on this channel. We're not going to be doing that at all. So those are some examples for that last one. So yeah, definitely think those through, write them down, and commit to them. So here's what I'm going to do. I am posting consistently because I'm building, as I mentioned earlier, I am building what I actually teach. Okay, these videos are going to be real life lessons, as you see. They're going to be business lessons. I've been through a lot professionally as well as personally. And I'm also going to talk about some discipline lessons as well. So, like I said, this is stuff that I wish somebody told me earlier. Okay, so like I mentioned, like I went through a lot. I wish someone talked to me and told me about it earlier and prepared you for it. Sometimes those lessons and that mentorship or whatever comes after the fact. But on this channel, I'm gonna give it to you before it happens. So that way, when it happens, you're prepared for it. Or you can at least say, you know what? I remember Patrice talked about this. That's something I get from a lot of my students. Quite a few have reached out to me after, years later. Man, I experienced this, and I remembered you told me X, Y, and Z. Like, that stood out. And I had an experience in a situation where that came in hand. So that's what you're gonna get from me here on this channel. Some days it'll be tactical, some days it'll be mindset, but it's always going to come back to those three things I mentioned earlier: discipline, stability, and standards. And lastly, I want y'all to participate in the comments. Tell me one thing you're building. Tell me one thing that you're building this year within those three categories. Let me know in the comments. And if you're, like I mentioned, you know, if you're done starting over like me with these New Year's resolutions and all that, hit the subscribe button. This is the great time to get into it. You know, January 1st, we're going to kick off this year being great. We're not doing performance. We ain't doing that. We are doing progress with structure. All right. So with that being said, enjoy the new year, and I will catch y'all tomorrow. Peace.